This is my EDU 503 week 6 assignment. I chose the study Everett versus Bucky Warren. My name's Chase Lowenstein. All right, so in this case, William Everett Jr., he was injured during a hockey game, and this was back in 1970. He was a postgraduate student at New Preparatory School in Cambridge, Massachusetts. They had a game in Providence, Rhode Island against Brown University, and this was against their freshman team. Um, Everett, he attempted to block a shot by laying down perpendicular. So, if you don't know, those people who aren't math minded, this is the person who's shooting the puck, and he attempted to lay down perpendicular, so just flat across it. So he was shooting the guy who was shooting the puck, and he got hit right in the head, right above his right ear, and this was 15 feet away. Um, because of this and because of his helmet, he ended up fracturing his skull. He had had a metal plate inserted, and he will have indefinite headaches throughout his life. So he claims negligence by the manufacturer, by the school, and the coach for choosing and selling and making the helmet. This was a three-piece helmet, so there's an example of a picture of a three-piece helmet down there in the corner. So the plaintiff, he claims that the helmet was supplied to him through the following process. It was manufactured by J.E. Pender. Pender then sold those helmets to Bucky Warren Inc., which is like a sporting goods store. And then Bucky Warren sold those helmets to the new prep school. Those helmets were specifically ordered by the head coach, Hughes. The plaintiff claims that because of the gaps in the helmet, it was designed defectively. He claims that all three defendants, Pender, Bucky Warden, and the school New Prep, were liable to negligence for supplying the helmet. Pender, the creator of the helmet, he had no engineering background. He says that the three-piece helmet was designed for adjustment, not for safety reasons. So it was actually proven in the case that he never actually researched or did any like safety tests regarding his helmet. So, and the school and the coach, it's required that schools and coaches, they provide reasonable care with supplying safe and effective equipment. The head coach, he was aware that other schools were using one-piece helmets, so it was kind of out of the way for him to choose these three-piece helmets, even though he knew he had a strong hockey background, so he knew that most schools, most teams wore one-piece helmets, but yet he still chose to purchase those three-piece helmets. So the defense, they claim that the plaintiff should have been aware of the gaps in the helmet, that he should have seen that the helmet had all of these holes in it, should have picked a different helmet. Defense also stated that all of the hockey players on the team had the choice to purchase their own helmet, but the plaintiff chose to use the one that the school was providing. They also brought up that the game of hockey carries certain risks of injuries, so players should understand that they assume some of the risks if they do get an injury while playing the sport. And Pender also argued that the court should rule that the plaintiff was contributorily negligent as a matter of law. But when he brought this up in the court, he actually provided little factual or legal support behind this claim, so they couldn't really do anything with that. So the court findings, the jury found that the helmet was unreasonably dangerous. Everett, he was awarded $85,000 in damages on the liability counts, and this was back in 1970, so $85,000 was actually a lot of money. What I also thought was interesting in this case, so after researching a little bit more, they asked the jury 14 questions. There's a couple examples of the questions. They were asking, was the founder, Mr. Pender, negligent? They said yes. What about the person who sold the equipment, Bucky Warren, negligent? They said yes. The school negligent? They said yes. Sorry. Hold on. Gotta get back to it. And then they asked, was the plaintiff, Everett William Jr., negligent? And they said no. So implications for an athletic director. Research your equipment. So it is very important to understand the different types of equipment. The different types of equipment that is available to you as a athletic department. Understanding cost effectiveness versus the safety of athletes. So they found out that those 3-piece helmets were slightly a bit cheaper than the 1-piece helmets. But like I said, the coach knew that more schools were using the 1-piece helmets. The coach knew that the 1-piece helmets were more safe, but yet he still chose the 3-piece helmets due to their cost. So understanding like, hey, the cost does not outweigh the safety of our athletes. So make sure that you're doing your research, understanding that cheaper isn't always better. So trying not to get around that. You want to keep your athletes safe. You want to make sure that they're not going to get injured, that they're not going to sue the school district. So research your equipment. Cheaper is not always better. Another thing, trust your coach's decisions to select safe equipment. But in the case of this, where the coach doesn't pick the safer equipment, also double check all of their decisions and provide some options for purchasing equipment. Usually coaches, they know a great deal about their sport. They know which equipment is safe. But if they do pick a choice that kind of questions you, make sure that you provide them some options with equipment that would be safer, that you think would be safer, that you have read reviews that would be safer. So just giving coaches that option. And players and parents do accept risk of injuries. So when they sign up for sports, you make them sign the contract. They do accept risk, but that is not because of defective equipment. So make sure that you are double checking equipment, making sure that it's safe for all athletes, doing your research when you are purchasing equipment, and making sure that it is safe for all athletes. So there are some implications for an athletic director, and there is my reference to the textbook. Thank you.